What's up, guys? Ronin Man here. So I want to do a quick video in response to a couple of comments I got on the last video. And I said that meditation is bullshit. Those are strong words. And what I mean by that, there's a few things I mean by that. Why? Well, let me just get this. Why do people meditate? They meditate, or they try to do things like that in order to get into a flow state. And first I want to say is that everybody has been in a flow state. So nobody's like, oh, I'm the king of the flow state. No, we all have been in flow states. It might have been when you were just with your friends. It might have been when you're vibing. It might have been driving with your friends in a car in high school, laughing and just riffing with your friends. It might have been while you were doing, you were rapping and you were doing, making music. It might have been definitely music is one of those things. It might have been where you were running, or you were doing something where you reached this amazing state, this flow state, right? And so we know that feeling. So you got to remember that feeling. Okay, so when I say meditation is bullshit, what I mean, is that if you don't include the body, you're missing half of the concept, but probably 80% of your opportunity to get into flow state. Okay? If you incorporate your body, it's not that you can't reach meditative state through meditation, but it's that there's a much better way, is what I'm saying. There's a better way. And you've really never really heard about it anywhere else. I literally am telling you something that nobody's saying. So really hear what I'm saying. I discovered something and I want to pass it on. Okay? So I'll tell you a quick story. When I was studying Chinese, I was in a hurry because I was 40 years old. And the story is important. The complexities is why, right? So, and how. So I knew I didn't have that much time because I had a lot of goals in my life. I didn't want to just be a student forever. I wasn't 15 years old. I was 40. And so I knew that not only did I not have that much time because I wanted to start new businesses in China. There's a reason why I was learning Chinese. And I wanted to quickly integrate into Chinese society. I wanted to make a lot of friends. I wanted to be able to communicate. I wanted to be able to laugh. I wanted to be able to do whatever thing I needed to do, but in the Chinese language. So for me, it wasn't about a certificate. It wasn't about bragging. It wasn't even about a job. There was nothing that anybody from the outside could tell me or stamp on something. Like when you get a government job, they stamp and they tell you that, okay, we're going to hire you and you won. Most videos about motivation or how to get more money from somebody, right? Make a person decide something. For me, I think differently. My goal in Chinese was not for anybody to think my Chinese was good. It wasn't to get any kind of number, and it wasn't to get any certificate. To have another human say, oh, he's good, and so we will do this, right? My goal was to be able to be a living human being in a new language completely. And I did not care what anybody thought. I was not trying to get any job, and it wasn't even really for money. I just had a goal. I wanted to learn Chinese, right? I wanted to be verbally fluent in Chinese at age 40. And that was my goal. And if that would help me, that's great. I knew that I wanted to start businesses because I always wanted to start businesses. So of course, once I was able to do Chinese all the time, I knew that I would be myself. I would start businesses, right? That's basically, okay. So it wasn't like, oh, I want to go there to make money. No, I was making money. I would start businesses. I am the same person everywhere I go. The only difference is I have to adjust myself to the location I'm in to fit in there, right? In China you need Chinese, right? So, okay, so I had this goal, but my goal was not to, a lot of people I guess I should say a little more. It was not to be at a party and some guy say, oh, that white guy speaks good Chinese. Okay, I hate those videos. Okay, let me just tell you straight up. I hate those videos. I hate those guys. I hate that concept of wanting to stand out. I want to look Chinese if I could. Like, I wish I could change my look when I go to new countries. I'm not trying to get attention. I don't want anybody to give me a pat on the back. I want to learn something purely so I can use it. And in that using, I find great enjoyment, okay? And feeling a satisfaction, okay? So there was my goal. So because of that, my goal was very pure, okay? So because the goal was pure, I needed to really learn Chinese. Because it wasn't about, there was no one thing I could hang my hat on, like, if this person said this or this person did this, then I would be good. It's like, no, I'm going on this never-ending journey to become fluent at the time, right? And I didn't know that I was going to get my business taken and things were going to get interrupted and I wouldn't be in China after a period of time. At the time, I was like permanently moving there, right? And just like I moved to Japan, same exact thought. So, okay. So I was like trying to get this language. Anybody who's learned a difficult language at 40 years old will realize that it is not easy. It's very difficult because your mind is very rigid. So you don't have a lot of time, right? Because you have things to do. Young people don't have so many. And your mind's more rigid. So I wasn't able to do the dumb things that young people do. Like, I had to be smarter from day one. I needed to find a way. And also my goal was not to impress anybody. It was purely to be able to be fluent, which I know is the most difficult goal. It's the most thorough goal. Like, I want to be able to debate, to make 45-minute speeches in Chinese, right? To debate in Chinese, to take a master's class in Chinese, right? To understand a master's level lecture in Chinese. Okay, that was my goal. And I reached that goal. And how did I reach it? So one thing was, okay, when I tried, so imagine, let's put this into pictures for you. So imagine there's like 1,000 books in a pile, okay? Now I want to eat those books. Okay, that's the way I'm going to learn Chinese, is by physically eating and digesting. If I just digest all those books, right, eat them, chew them, digest them, then I will reach my preferred level of fluency. But the problem is that I could only eat a few pages at a time, right? And even then I was like slipping back. And I was realizing that, like, no matter how difficult, how hard I tried, I was enrolled in university. I was studying all the time. I was listening 24 hours a day to Chinese. I had the radio on when I was sleeping and the TV sometimes. 24 hours a day, in the shower. I had speaker playing. Walking down the street, I had the headphones. And I realized I was getting good progress, much faster than anybody else. I did like 3 years worth of Chinese in 1 year, right? I went way in advance of the class, right? And so how did I do that? Was it a gift? No. It was a technique, right? And it's related to meditation. It's very much related to it. And flow state. Learning and meditation are connected. If you're not learning, you're not meditating properly, right? Okay, so anyway, so back to the thing. So I needed to get those 1,000 books in my brain, and that sitting down, okay, here's where it comes in. Sitting down and studying did not work. Because when I sat down, I can sit down for 20 minutes and focus. I can sit down for an hour. Sometimes when I'm in a very good state, I can sit down for 3 hours, right? In my very, very best state of my whole entire life, when I was writing my Supreme Court appeal for my court case, I was focused from about 5 in the morning until I was probably like 4 in the afternoon. So yeah, there's exceptions when you're extremely motivated. But it's not easy, and it's not all the time, and you can't control it. You know, my love for my daughter and losing her was so strong that I could focus at a superhuman level. But let's face it, you're not in that mode every day. Okay. So that's the other thing. You got to be realistic with yourself. Okay. So when I would sit down and study, okay, after, like, let's say I would listen to MP3s and lay down on my bed. after like, I don't know what period of time it was, let's say 45 minutes, I would start to get drowsy, right? I wouldn't be focused. And I was like, how am I going to get these 1,000 books in my head, in my mouth, eat them if I can't stay awake long enough, right? So then I would sit down. Then my back would get sore, so I'd stand up a little bit, move around. It wasn't working. It would have worked if I wanted to learn Chinese in 4 years, okay? But I wanted to do it in one. That was my goal, 1 year, maybe like 15 months, right? So how did I do that? I realized at some point that when I walked around, when I walk, is that when I would walk like long distances. I remember one day in Shanghai, I walked 38 miles, so 10 more miles than a marathon. And I was like, when I walk, I never fall asleep. Like I can't fall asleep and walk. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So, what I'll do is I'll study sitting down with a book, grammar and stuff. And then I will walk and listen, right? Or sleep and listen, right? Let it go into my subconscious. So I would walk. And as I walked, I realized that things would interrupt me, even walking. So I realized I hadn't reached my perfect structure yet to reach a flow state. So, because that's what I need. I needed a flow state because my brain was stopping the Chinese from coming in there. It was yapping around to me. How do I reach that flow state? That my mind can become like a child and integrate this language. It can be part of my emotions in my life, right? Because again, I'm not trying to do it to impress. I really want it to be in my mind, instant, part of my personality, right? I bump my head and I say Chinese. I want it that instinctual when I'm by myself, right? So I would walk around and it was working, it was good. But then I realized every time I got to a street light, I would look at the light and my focus would be off listening to Chinese. And a cute girl would smile at me. And that would take my focus off of Chinese. And then sometimes like a diesel bus would come by me and just paint me with diesel as it came by in China. And I realized that would piss me off. So that would take my focus off of learning, right? Off of listening. So then I thought, I need a place I can walk where there's no interruptions. Okay, so I found a place. There was a track at my school. There was like a sports track outside. And it was open 24 hours a day. They never bothered you. You can come on the campus 12 o'clock at night, no problem. And I was enrolled there. So what I started doing is I got a pair of headphones, okay? And this is important because the specifics matter. If you really want to succeed, you gotta be able to emulate somebody. It's like when you train for battle. You're putting your gun together in the dark, okay? You're taking it apart, cleaning it, you're doing these things. And when you're starting, you don't really understand why you're doing it, right? But they're teaching you so you can do it in your sleep. You can do it in the dark. And then it's just an instinct. They're training you as a soldier. They're training you to do everything no matter what else is going on. You do what you're supposed to do instinctually, right? But you might not understand that when you're starting, right? But that's what the military is doing. They're getting you to just brainlessly be able so that, and this will save your life because you will be able to react in the way that a soldier reacts, right? That's the way they're training you, right? So I was like, okay, I want that. I lost my train of thought. Let me get back here. Okay, so I'm going around. I don't know why I told this story. There's a reason. When I go back and listen, I'll remember. Okay, so back to walking around the track. I realized I had to buy an MP3 with a 16-hour battery because I would walk all day if I didn't have class. I would walk. So what interrupted me? The battery running out. That was one thing. So I got a Korean MP3 with a 16-hour battery, a 40 gigabyte drive. It was not even a color screen. It was like a orange and white, and it would last forever. And the screen would turn off if I wasn't pressing buttons right. So the battery just lasted forever. So I had something that would not stop. Then I needed something else. I needed a place where I could walk without any visual interruptions or even physical interruptions or audio. The track was quiet. Nobody would ever stand in my way. There was never like a bicycle on the track. It was always people walking in the same direction. So I just walked with them like a zombie, and I listened to Chinese. And I would repeat, like while I was walking, I would listen, I would repeat. I just ignored other people around me. They got used to me anyway. And I would just repeat Chinese to myself. Okay? And what I found was, here's how difficult it is to get in a meditative state. This is when I say meditation doesn't work. What I mean is that, like, you're not in it. Like, when you're in meditative state, it is very short-lived most of the time. And it's difficult to get there, right? So how do you get there more often, right? How do you get there more reliable? Here's how you do it. Find a place you can walk where you will not be interrupted. Have something to listen to. Okay, so if you're studying an audiobook, that's good. If you're listening to Joe Rogan, that's good. If you're listening to a Ronin man, all good. If you're listening to, you're studying Arabic and you have like long, like lessons, continuous lessons, that's great. If you want to do guided meditation, the problem with guided meditations is they're short. Okay, I've found it takes 3 hours to get into a flow state. Okay, so try this. Get some headphones with those big puffy things that cover your ears. The reason why is when you wear headphones too long, the little ones in your ears, they'll start to get sore. So you want comfortable headphones. I think there's some Sony ones that are good. I prefer wired ones because then I don't have to worry about that battery, right? And I like, I can post, I found a new Korean MP3 and I'm gonna buy a new one if anybody wants to know. Because your phone battery is gonna run out. And you don't wanna you don't wanna be thinking about that. And also too, you want your phone off, so you'll turn it to airplane mode. And so start walking, again, on a track where nobody's in your way or in some place where nobody is. And no animals are going to attack you. Because I've walked so much, I come across a lot of shit. Wild dogs, just crazy stuff, But find a place where you know that you can focus. If you live in Kansas or whatever, there's some great walking trails. Find a good walking trail where nobody is, and it's quiet, and you don't have to worry about cars, right? If it's too sunny where you are, do it early morning, evening, right? Late afternoon, evening, right? So that you don't have to even think about it. You just don't have to think about the sun, you just walk. It's nice if there's trees for shade, quiet, and then uninterrupted. And you can walk, let's say, so 3 hours you walk, say 4 miles an hour. That's 12 miles right there. And that's to get into the meditative state, flow state. So if you really want to be in the flow state, I would say set a 6-hour block. So walk for 3 hours and then have another 3 hours where you're in that flow state and learning. Okay? Now there's no way you can do this sitting down. There's no way you can get into this flow state that I'm talking about. This is a very fucking deep state. It's so deep, you will be amazed. Now, if you are not a walker or if you're out of shape, you'll find yourself sore or getting tired or whatever. But build up to it. You should be able, every man should be able to walk for at least 9 hours, no problem. Walking is fucking easy. 9 hours is totally reasonable amount to walk, right? And the reason why is because you're doing stuff while you're walking, right? You're learning. You're going to be learning stuff that you couldn't learn in a week of sitting down, okay? So, and also too, there's a lot of added benefits. One of them is that you're going to be losing weight. Walking 9 hours. So what is that? 4 times 9. Yeah. I mean, you're talking some serious fucking 36 miles. You're talking you're going to lose weight. Like if you have trouble getting a rip, like I say, a washboard stomach, this is the kind of thing that will change your life. Because not only will you be absorbing stuff quicker, you'll find yourself in a true meditative state. And what I mean by that is not only do you absorb while you're doing it, but it's almost like you'll have a hangover afterwards of just peace. It's like bliss. Like you won't be comparing yourself to other people. You won't be feeling any strong emotions like anger. Those are like long gone. You'll find yourself just kind of like noticing things, noticing a tree, noticing a bird. I'm talking about after the meditation. During the meditation, you don't want to do that. But afterwards, you'll find yourself, you really will, you'll find yourself being more loving towards people. And the reason is, and here's the thing, is you are combining the physical with the mental. So when I said meditation doesn't work, I meant the whole industry of meditation, the way they do it, the way they think. It's just a big fucking, it's a huge circle jerk. You can do it as a man, and it's beautiful. And it will give you a clarity of thought and a clarity of mind that you will appreciate as a man. Instead of sitting around watching a bunch of Netflix, not only do you get in killer shape when you walk like this, but you also learn more, and really truly you become a better person. That's the best way to put it. You become a better you, right? Because you let things go. There's something about the long exercise and the health benefits of that. Increased blood flow, circulation, warmer feet, harder hard-ons, brain working better. There's a lot of good stuff that happens, right? And also your muscles. There's a lot of good shit that happens. But on top of that, the mental part, your brain, which is part of your body is all getting better. So your brain is going to be in a different state. So use the physical, and then the physical will lead you to the mental. Don't circle jerk sitting down with a bunch of, like really truly, like most people that meditate, you can look at their faces. A lot of these guys don't reach their goals. They just get stuck in this kind of like, I am a spiritual person level. The same reason I learned Chinese, I didn't learn for any reason, like someone to tell me something. I wanted to be able to integrate it. And the reason why you want to meditate by walking and learning at the same time, so it's a benefit, you also learn Chinese, right? Or whatever you want to learn. Like it's like the benefits are insane to what I'm talking about here. Because you will be able to integrate some very difficult facts. Like I'll just say this, when I was raising money for a Silicon Valley company one time, I had a book, and I could find the title, I can't remember it. It was like the authoritative book on venture capital, raising money. It was all the terms that you use. It was all the different structures of financing. It was describing in depth with real experience, real examples of types of angel investors, types of startups, why they worked, why they didn't work. It was really a fantastic book. But what happened was, I was in Silicon Valley and working on this is years ago, and I found myself not able to integrate the book. It was just, I don't come from a finance background. There was way too many terms for me. And I realized I was not going to be able to absorb these concepts as fast as I needed to. And then I remembered, wait, how did I learn Chinese? I was like, that's right, listening. I'm like, this won't work with this book. This book is way too complex, way too difficult. It's way too, like I got to see the words, right? You know what I mean? Like, and I thought, you know what? I bet I can fucking listen and meditate this book into my mind. So I got the audiobook and I started to walk around Los Gatos, and I found a nature trail. There's a nature trail there. next to the freeway. I forgot which freeway it is. What's the name of the off-ramp I was at? I can't remember now. I can picture it, but I can't remember. Anyway, so sure enough, I was living at the guy's house who is the president of our startup, but he was working in another company in order to get money to fund this startup. And there was another guy who was his programmer. He was working at the company. So they were getting salaries and then getting ready to launch this other company. And my job was to basically take that technology, take that company, and then take it global, take it to Asia. And it ended up that my job was to raise money because the president was not good at raising money. So I wanted it to succeed. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to raise money, even though that's not my job, because I want this thing to succeed. These guys don't have enough time. I'm going to raise money, and then we'll be off to the races, right? Then we'll have salaries. We'll have an office. We'll be able to start integrating this stuff because I thought it was a pretty cool technology. Anyway, so, but I was like really feeling down because the book was just too complex. It was too outside my wheelhouse. It was just too, and I thought, wait a second. I slapped myself. You know, you learn Chinese at 40. Of fucking course you can do this. You learn Japanese at 25. You can fucking do this. Right? Actually, you know what? I think I was thinking about Japanese because I think this is before my Chinese. No. Was it after? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I knew that walking and listening would work. Or I thought it was the best chance. I thought if I can't integrate this book by... What I'm saying is the most difficult things can be solved with this. Okay? This is not a joke, what I'm talking about right now. So I put the book on, and I was like, fuck, this is hard. Started walking. I walk. And those guys were at work all day. So I would literally walk all day. Up in the mountains, in the desert. There was like this desert area. If you take the walking trail, it goes down to a lake, and then it goes up to the desert, and there's these trails. And you run into snakes and stuff. That interrupts you a little bit. But I would just go back and forth. It was just back and forth on this trail. I forgot how long it took to take this trail, but I'd be sweating. And I was wearing a hat because I was getting sunburned. And that's what I would do all day. I would just walk up and down this trail. And it probably took maybe, I don't remember how long, maybe like 2 hours each way. So it was like a 4-hour round trip. And I was going up a mountain every time too. Not a real mountain, but it was more than a hill. And up and down, up and down, up and down. And then when I was hungry, I would buy roasted chicken at the local supermarket. I eat 1 or 2 of those and just keep walking. And I would buy a gallon of water, leave it in one of the trees, and then every time I passed it, I would drink, put it back. So that way I didn't have to interrupt. And sure enough, I learned that book, and I was able to successfully get a venture capital firm that made a very serious offer to fund our company. And it was because I was able to integrate that book. So you can learn, meditate, get into flow state, get ripped, become a better person, all with one technique. Get better looking, right? Feel better, have better blood flow. Like there's so much to this. And that's why I say meditation is bullshit, because in comparison to the benefits you get from this package, meditation is just sitting there. You become so meditative after 3 hours of total focus. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it's reliable. When people sit down and meditate, it's like sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. When you walk over 3 hours focused, listening to something over and over, you become so incredibly relaxed. And I'll just end by this, is that you'll enjoy it. This is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Now, you can't do this every day if you're working. But you could do it maybe on a 1 day a week, whatever it is. Or every night after work. You could just, instead of running around, instead of going drinking, you could just start walking. Get your headphones. Have something that you never thought you could learn. Get the audiobook. Get whatever it is. And then just listen to it over and over. That's the key. One time, you're not going to learn shit. But if you listen to a book 100 times, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised, right? That no matter how difficult it is, it will just become second nature. Like you'll hear one sentence and you know what's coming next. You'll just be like, oh yeah, I know that. And then you'll start to realize, oh my God, like I know all the chapters. I understand the types of angel investors. I understand the types of structures of financing. I understand the mindset of venture capital. I understand the different types of venture capital companies. I understand the stages of a company and the different personalities that invest at different stages. I understand a lot about the contracts. Not everything, the legal aspects of the contracts. Like the types of contracts, the types of lawyers. I understood how to judge things. I could see if it was going in the right direction. It was amazing. I actually, now I haven't been focused on that for a long time, but at the time, that was essential in me raising money, successfully raising money for that firm. So, so try this. If you haven't learned Chinese at 40, try this. Like if you're just meditating and just like maybe feeling a little bit better, through this whole thing, you're going to feel fucking 1,000 times better. Trust me. Like this is not just some small thing. You're going to be amazed. And you should lose every month, you're probably a half inch off your belt walking like this. You walk 9 hours a day, trust me, you're going to lose weight, and in a good way. Like when you lose weight quickly, it's not healthy. When you lose weight through walking and meditating and learning, oh man, it's the best way to lose weight. It is a powerful, powerful way. And when you finish, you're not even like, it's like you feel so good that you don't even want to like eat a pizza or anything. Like you just want to have some water and maybe some, you are hungry, right? You might have some chicken or something and some vegetables, but you're not like, you know what I mean? It's like a healthy state you're in. And you'll see it in everything you're doing. And this is very, very valuable. I'll just say one last thing. Say your house is full of chaos. Okay, so your mother, if you're young, living with your parents, or if you're older, your wife, or even if you're a roommate in college, if there's any chaos going on in your house, you can't get out of it. Walking is the one way. It takes so many hours that you'll be able to not only not be subject to whatever's going on, but you'll come back refreshed and renewed and enriched. I knew some guy, he listened to the news all the time, and I was in the house with him, and he would have it blasting. And I just found that very disrupting. Even though some of the news I could agree with, I was just, it was controlling my thoughts, and I don't like that. Because I have my own goals. I got fucking things I want to do. I don't want to just learn whatever this guy's talking about. I have things I want to learn, and there's a reason why I want to learn them, right? So, if it's to get out of the house, it will allow you to get out of the house. You will breathe more air. Your lungs will be stronger, right? Do your lungs get stronger meditating? Sitting down? Do your muscles get stronger? Do you lose weight? Do you see more? Because when you get out and walk like that, you can really, like 9 hours, like I say, like 36 miles, you're going to be able to like see parts of town. You're going to be able to pick a house better if you want to buy a house. You can walk up and down and up and down. And in the back of your mind, you can think, which neighborhood is really the best? You can have things like that and still not be interrupted. You'll have so much juice in the tank and so much benefit, but you can also do something else at the same time. You can stop and make a phone call, turn off airline mode, do that thing. That's how I learned to get good at real estate, was basically walking and looking. So there's a lot of things you can do while you're walking too. You can go drop mail in the mailbox. You can pick up something. You can watch the stages of construction of something that you're interested in. They're building a dam, walk by the dam. And then just kind of see how a dam's made, right? And you see it because you're going there every day, right? If you're in the redwoods, you can watch all kinds of stuff. You can learn about birds. You can learn trails. You can, what else have I done? I found places that I can, jump in the water. Like lake, like a river where a place where no one is. I can just take off my clothes, jump in, and then put my clothes back on. I don't need a towel because I can dry off before I put my clothes on. I don't even need to, you know what I mean? Like there's things you can be like looking for. If you want to have a place you can bone your girlfriend, you can find a perfect spot. If you walk like this, you're going to find all kinds of stuff. And so you'll start to, as you get more mature in your meditative walks and flow state, you will start to think of creative ideas that you can do, because you get better at it, basically. You get better at it, and that allows you to, to kind of let new things in. Right? And you'll find yourself learning new things, like topics that you never thought you had time for. You'll start to be, I'll listen to that audiobook, right? Maybe you're not like me where you have one specific goal. You might be like, I want to integrate this book and that article, right? And things like that. So sometimes I would use mechanical voice software to listen to a book, or other times I would read the book myself into the microphone and then use that as my audiobook if I can't buy the audiobook. It only takes about 8 hours to read a book, and you learn a lot by reading it into the microphone, right? So you can be creative. Like there's a lot of books, you might not be able to find them in audiobook format, but you can make them, right? You can also put an ad in Mechanical Turk and have some guy in Ukraine read the book and just pay him a few bucks. And he sends you the MP3. There's things like that too. So be creative. If you really want to learn something, you can learn it. And if you're religious, and let's say you're a Christian, and you've read the Bible, but you just know you don't really know it. That's all over the place online. You can get a YouTube, download it, put it on your MP3 and just listen. And then you'll really know that book backwards and forwards. If you're Muslim, you can learn the Quran where you got it, man, not quite memorized, but man, you really know it. And when you really know a book, when you really know a language, you'll realize how little other people know. There's a lot of people masquerading as having knowledge. But when it's part of your being, it's in that instinct, 100th of a second. It just comes out of your tongue. You know what I mean? Thoughts speed of light going around your brain. When you have that true knowledge, that integrated knowledge, you'll realize how many people don't really know things. They need to work. You know what I mean? I remember, I'll say this last. There was this guy, and he said, I said, I knew he spoke Japanese with his girlfriend. And he said, yeah, but every time that we fight, or if I'm sick, I always go into English because it's just too much work. And I thought, okay. So there's a level of fluency past speaking Japanese all day. There's a level where even if I'm sick, even if I'm arguing, even if I'm tired, the language will just flow out of me, just like English. And I was like, and then I saw that goal, and I reached that goal. And so there's a lot of people who, they give up. The technique I'm talking about not only will teach you the flow state in such a big way, but the reason why you get into a flow state, I'll end on this. You're not getting into a flow state for some fucking nefarious or mysterious reason. Men, we have goals, okay? Think of your goal first. What am I trying to learn here? What do I want to do here? What do I want to master? What do I need to get to where I want to be? What thing that I would have thought was impossible before do I want to reach in order to get to the next level? If you're older and you want to learn everything you can about health, you want to get as much knowledge from as many sources and be able to integrate those and then decipher truth from fiction and like see the complexities of advice and ideas. Like you might decide, I'm going to listen to the best books on health, whether they be research papers or popular books or textbooks. I'm not just going to read one book about health, like the latest stuff. And I'm going to study the 100 best books on health. And I'm going to integrate all those into my mind. So when someone says something, not only will I know what they're talking about, but I will have tried it, found the limits of that, and being able to integrate some other important, like concept or behavior into that. So that you know it and you've integrated, but most ideas, there's a limit. And there's other things you want to bring in there, right? And you want to be that with your own body. Like you'll say you're 60 years old and you just want to live as long as you can, as healthy as you can. And you realize like reading one book every 5 years is not going to do it. You're like, fuck it, I'm going to focus. I'm going to learn everything about diet. I'm going to learn everything about the gut biome. I'm going to learn everything about digestion. I'm going to learn everything about my kidneys and liver. I'm going to learn everything about sleep. I'm going to learn everything about the spine. I'm going to learn everything about muscles. I'm going to learn everything about nutrition that I can from as many sources so that I will be able to not only integrate the best, latest information, because that's the other thing. You want to read the latest information about health because health, it's moving forward so fast. Like, they say we're information society. It's going so fast. You want to know the latest, the best for your body. Because your body will have, this is where the SJWs are right. There's certain things that work for you that won't work for somebody else because of your genetic and also various lifestyle factors and things. So you want to know, like, yes, this is a good idea. Yes, this works. But in fact, this is not the best technique for me. I tried it to the max. I fully understand it. And I realized here was my goal. And I found that there was another way I could integrate this other concept. And then together, I got that goal, right? So that might be your goal. So guys, like men have dreams. That's what I'm saying. Have dreams, okay, and go reach them. And overcoming the inability to absorb new information at the same time as you're in a major flow state and meditative state. And losing weight. I mean, this is a fucking winning package here. Right? And avoiding just this stupid shit people do every day. Because you'll be too busy. You'll be like, oh, I gotta go walking. People will make fun of you, but they won't for long. Trust me. You know what I mean? When you've integrated these concepts, they'll be like, wait, how did you learn that? Like, fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how the fuck did you do that? Like you look better, you're in better shape, like you're learning, like, what are you doing? You're like, oh, walking. They will not get it, trust me. And you'll be like, yep. Yep. All right. Hope that's been good. Thanks.